If you want, you can, before you leave, you can take 2 minutes and clean them in my glass cleaner.
Oh, I might do that, thank you.
Yep. It works very, very well, and they're super cheap if you do not have one. I do them almost every morning when I take a shower. Just pop them in when you take a shower and then take them out.
Oh, cool. That's smart.
Great for the day. I mean, they're glasses, so they get nasty throughout the day, but they're still there.
It's all smudgy.
All right, are you ready?
I can read, so I'm good. Yeah, they're not that bad. I can actually say, yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to Editing Academy. I'm Darryl.
I'm Laura.
And Laura, what's the year and what are the movies we're here to talk about?
We are here to talk about the movies that were up for Best Picture in 2007. So they were released in 2006, and they are Babel, The Departed, Letters from Iwo Jima, Little Miss Sunshine, and The Queen.
Ah, yes. So I'm going to go through the other notables. You're going to guess the top 5, including, of course, the ones that we're talking about.
Okay.
Other notables that year. It was a really good year for film, in my personal estimation. 2 of my top 50 movies easily are on this list, one of which was initially on my list and then I took off. So other notables, The Prestige, The Illusionist, which was also kind of like The Prestige, but not nearly as good. The Pursuit of Happiness, Children of Men, which did make my top 20, that's the one I took off. The Da Vinci Code, Running with Scissors, have you ever seen that?
I have seen that,
Has my favorite line in movies of all time. It's the one when they poke the hole in the ceiling and they're trying to, they ask their father about it and he's like, it brings a interesting sense of humor to the kitchen. Love that line. A much needed sense of humor, sorry. Apocalypto.
Okay.
Idiocracy, which is a huge cult film now. Once, the little Irish Indian movie.
Oh, I love that movie.
The Last King of Scotland. Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. Superman Returns. Cars. X-Men The Last Stand. So out of all of those, what were the top 5 for that year, obviously money-wise?
Alright, so I'm going to say Cars.
That was number 2.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Was number 1, and I'm going to give you numbers because there's a sharp decrease. Pirates made $423 million.
Okay.
Cars was number 2 at $244
wow,
million.
quite
So
sharp.
it went shoo.
Okay. So Pirates, Cars, X-Men.
That was 3.
Superman.
Number 5.
Da Vinci Code.
Number 4.
Woo!
Nice job!
All 4! Yay!
You got all 5. Good job.
All 5. Yep. Awesome.
Okay, so before we dive in, now that we've done the other movies, I wanted to just have a very quick chat about the Academy and their choices, which is why we're here doing this in the first place.
Good point.
These 5 movies, based on the other movies that were released that year, I only personally think 2 of them deserve to be nominated.
Okay.
Do you think, given those other movies that I mentioned, what are your just initial kind of thoughts? This is obviously off the cuff, we didn't talk about this beforehand. But
I would say 3.
Okay.
But I also think that as I was going through these, we're getting to a time frame, because when we started this, a lot of it was movies I had never seen before.
Yeah.
We're now getting into the movies that I have seen before, and many of them I don't really want to revisit. So that's just a bit of a struggle. I'm in a bit of a slog of the movies right now.
I think we're also firmly in the area of the Academy when you're going to have your absolute, this is released for Oscar bait movie.
Yes.
You're going to have your nominations just based on the pedigree of the director.
Oh, yeah.
And then you're going to have there's always going to be some smaller movie that people will kind of latch onto that will get nominated. Like, you can predict the kind of movies that are going to get nominated that year. And I don't like that becomes a trend for so long, because it takes away from a lot of the other really good movies, this year importantly, that deserve to actually have that spotlight shined on them.
And I wouldn't say it was even this year particularly, but I would say over
this is
the
just
last...
a really glaring...
I agree with you. Over the last several years, and we're going to see it for a few more years, if there was anything by Scorsese, by Spielberg, by Eastwood, it was going to be nominated for Best Picture. I mean, like, just out of the gates. And then I think they also go to, like you said, it's going to be the person that is up for it. I was actually a little surprised the Last King of Scotland wasn't up for this, because that was such a great role, and it kind of mirrors the Queen of, if they were going to go with the Queen, why didn't they go with Last Year?
And we've seen that for the past couple of years, like a singular performance that carries the film gets that film nominated. So I was with you, I was surprised that it didn't get nominated.
Yep.
So anyway, I wanted to have that conversation briefly because I think it's going to shape some of what we talk about with these movies.
The one we didn't see in this, but I think we would see in other, is like the costume drama.
Yeah.
Like the very historical costume drama.
Yeah, we got kind of with the Queen, but not really, because it was just modern clothing, just set like 30 years ago.
Well, yeah, but it was set 10 years after the events.
Right.
It was only 10 years after the event, so it wasn't a costume drama, really.
But, I mean, it is 20, 30 years ago that the events happened, because it was 95, so...
Right, no, I guess I'm thinking in the moment, the costume dramas were being
like
nominated.
the full-on period.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Alright, so let's dive in.
I don't think 10 years is historical drama. Okay.
So first up was Babel, directed by Alejandro Gonzalez Inarritu. I hope I pronounced that correctly, sir. Written by Guillermo Aria. Something, again, wow, god damn it, I apologize. Stars Brad Pitt, Kate Blanchett, Gael Garcia Bernal, Koji Yakusho, and a bunch of other people as well. This is, well, we'll get into it. Nominated for Best Picture, Director, Supporting Actor, Screenplay, Film Editing, and Score, and it only won for Score. Go with the things.
Alright, so I'm going to say up front, I'm not doing AFI anymore.
Okay,
because the
good.
last AFI update was in 2007, so we're past it.
Oh.
And no more movies would be updated on their list.
Wow,
So,
okay.
so
I
that's...
wonder if that's when they got bought, because they also used to have like a group chat kind of feature where you could chat
really?
like Reddit, but when
Cool.
they were bought, I think it was by Amazon, they removed all
AFI?
these. Yeah. No, sorry,
Yeah.
I'm thinking IMDb. I'm way
Okay.
off. I'm way off.
Like, I think AFI is a thing. But yes, the last time they updated the list was 2007, so we're just not going to have any more. But IMDb, the logline was, tragedy strikes a married couple on vacation in a Moroccan desert, which jumpstarts an interlocking story involving 4 different families.
Accurate.
I think that's fair. Yeah. I will also say, for the interlocking, before I get to the fun facts, and maybe this is a fun fact, wow, this is the time when all of those movies, all the Gary Marshall comedies, we just had Crash, we've got this one. I forgot how vogue those were at the time.
And I think it really, Traffic really put the spotlight on this. I guarantee this would not have been greenlit if Traffic hadn't won.
Yeah, exactly. Crash, too.
Yep.
Yeah. So Brad Pitt actually backed out of The Departed. He had the Matt Damon role for
There's
this.
a very famous story about
Yep,
that.
for this. And also, this is one of 2 movies that was filmed in both 16mm and 35mm film.
Okay.
The 16mm was the Susan and Richard parts when they were together after she had been shot, kind of in the cave, in the places, and the rest of it was 35mm. And you can actually see a very quick jump when the helicopter comes, because that's when it turns from 16 to 35.
Okay.
So it was just interesting because that's the second movie that did that this year, and I will tell you about the next one when we get there.
All right. Okay, I'm gonna just dive in with this one. I really don't have a heck of a lot to say about this movie, which I think is becoming a trend as we move forward. I will say it's well crafted. It's incredibly bleak. It's a slow movie. It's very much in the vein of Traffic and Crash with the interweaving stories, where you spend, just enough time on one thing before you move on to the other thing, and the putting together of the narrative, I think, is very well done. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I just didn't care. Nothing about it was able to make me truly engage with what was happening in the moments that it was actually happening. Performances were great. I think that Brad Pitt was a little off his game in this one. I don't think he was stellar like we had seen him be in some other things. I think he did what he was supposed to, and he played the over-the-top concerned husband, given the circumstances, very well. I just don't think he was at the top of his game like we've seen him before.
The thing that bothered me about this movie, I agree with you. I think it was very well crafted. I thought they did a nice job linking the stories and also spending enough time in each moment with each of the stories. You didn't get bored with one. You didn't forget what was going on when you jumped to the other. So they did a nice job of the crafting of it. The thing that bothered me was there was a design flaw in the movie, which was 2 design flaws in my mind. But the biggest one was it kind of led you to believe that the crisis moment of the housekeeper, the nanny taking the children to Mexico, was because Susan had been shot. And so therefore
I
they
agree.
blah, blah, blah.
I do.
That was crap. They were on a tour bus in Morocco. They were not going to be home that night.
Yes.
So the entire premise is flawed.
Yeah.
She knew when her son's wedding was. She knew when her employers were coming back. There had to have been a contingency plan in place that she wasn't scrambling to find somebody on the last day, because they clearly were not going to get from Morocco to San Diego in time for her to be at her son's wedding.
I think, if I'm remembering correctly, and I may have glossed over this, there's a brief phone conversation in the early part where he is actually on the phone, because eventually it catches up with itself.
Yeah.
But there's a moment very early on with the film where he mentions something about his sister or brother or somebody else who was supposed to be there who couldn't, but I don't remember the rationale for it. So the contingency plan was for this other person to be there, but they couldn't for some reason.
See, I read it to, she's coming now because we're not able to get back. So we're trying to get her there to you, but she can't be there.
And that may have indeed been the case.
But either way, even you're right. I didn't buy it. And the second piece was what you just mentioned, which was, we knew, everybody in the audience knew that was Brad Pitt on the phone with the nanny at the beginning of the movie, but yet it lays it out like it's a surprise when he flips over his wallet and these are his children. I think we were not supposed to know that. And it's Brad Pitt's voice. Everybody knows that. And so when it shows the other end of his conversation when he's in the hospital, you knew that was the dad. So it drove me a little nuts.
This movie to me is someone sat down and said, okay, based on a lot of the popular films that are winning Oscars lately, how can I write something in that vein that is basically a study in tragedy and loss? Oh, here's my idea. This is it. Yeah. And I don't think it lives up necessarily to that kind of devotion that the film wanted to pay for the study of tragedy and loss. I think it fails miserably in that regard. This film, I think, to me, and I tried very hard to put myself back in that time frame, but this is one of those films that the Academy likes to recognize that this is an important film.
Yes.
Everybody pay attention, this is an important film. Why? Because we're saying it's an important film, and the film is trying to pretend that it's important. All of that is bullshit.
Yeah. Nope, I agree with you. The storyline also that happened in Japan seemed very tacked on. It was actually, I liked it a lot, but it seemed so very tacked on that it didn't seem part of what else was going on except for just that's the gun origin story. But the young girl, I thought when it showed her kind of going into the club and we could experience that whole thing, and then suddenly they shut off the sound and you could just see the lights, and the guy that she was into was kissing another girl, and you just saw things from her experience. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Actually, I did like that. But again, another logic problem was, her mother had committed suicide, so we believe, and she tells the cop that she saw her mother jump off the balcony.
Yep.
And her father then tells the cop, no, her mother killed herself with a gun, and my daughter walked in just after it had happened. Why did they have that two different stories?
Okay, so I can explain that one, I think, because her storyline, again, it's the study of tragedy and loss.
Yes.
Okay? So she's having a very difficult time connecting with anything else again in her life, and she's using kind of her sexuality as a way to move through this. And she tells her friends that she was even attracted to the cop. She gets naked for the cop. And I think what she was trying to do, she's 100% lying, but I think she was doing it to try to invoke sympathy in some weird way. Why she couldn't just say, no, my mom shot herself when I walked in, I think in the moment that was the thing she thought of that would invoke sympathy on his end. That's how I read it.
Okay.
So that then by doing that, it then reinforces that she is trying so desperately because the father corrects with the right information.
Okay.
That's how I read it.
I can see
that made sense to me. But again, that one is so very loosely tied. It's kind of what was the point of this, except for it's just studying tragedy and loss.
Yeah.
Some of the ways these things connect is so loosely based, whereas the ones we've seen before, Traffic and Crash, are much more connected and tightly woven. This one was a lot looser, and I think the film suffered because it was a lot looser. That these other stories are individually fine stories to tell, but the connectiveness of it is so thin.
Well, and really just with this one, the other three I can see the connection much closer.
Sure.
This one was just so thin. Okay, I can see that. It still is weird to me, but I can
agree.
see that as being an answer. And I never her sexuality and the way that she was, again, trying to find a connection with this other person, that didn't bother me at all. And especially I was thinking, you lose the sense of hearing, maybe she's trying to get the sense of touch, you know, so I can understand all that. the one with the little boy, I found to be very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, that to me was just a little uncomfortable watching him. I kind of fast forwarded through that part because, like, nope, I didn't see that. That's a young little boy. And that was just a little too uncomfortable for me. And I didn't ever understand the purpose of that.
No, except for it was just tied with the gun, which was tied. Yeah, I'm 100% with you. My ultimate takeaway from this movie is I just felt so incredibly bad for the nanny, the caregiver.
Oh my God, she was just trying to do the right thing.
Over and over and over
Yes.
again, and she just constantly going through, like, her tragedy, I think, is the worst out of all of them. Sure,
Completely.
getting shot with a random bullet and almost dying, that's horrific, of
Yeah,
course.
she didn't seem to be a very nice person.
No.
Yeah.
And I didn't, well, that's a different thing, but I just felt so incredibly bad for the nanny. Again, it was just like, hey, I'm going to think of the worst things I can have a person go through
Yes.
so that everybody feels this tragedy and loss that I'm
Yeah.
trying to talk about. And it just seemed over the top. The one thing I didn't understand was why Brad and Kate were at odds with each other. Like, they talk around an event. I assume it was infidelity on
Oh
somebody's
no, they
part.
lost a child. A child died of SIDS.
I didn't know that. I did
Oh.
not catch that.
Yep, so.
Is that explained?
It is,
Okay.
yeah. So when the two children are talking to the nanny, they said something about their brother, you know, they were afraid to go to sleep because their brother fell asleep and never woke up.
Oh.
And the nanny said that just sometimes happens to young babies and it won't happen to you and
Okay,
don't worry.
I missed that entirely. I mean, I
Yeah.
remember it now that you mention it, but
Yeah.
I didn't put the things together.
Yeah.
I assumed it was infidelity and they couldn't get beyond it, and I did not like the writing of those portions.
Well, and also there was something more to it where she said something about, like, you know, you have to take care of the children and you can never do it again, or something along those lines. So to me it was, you left the child alone too long, you didn't turn on the child
She's blaming
monitor, she's blaming him in some way.
Okay.
So they had a child death and she's blaming him in some way that they never explain and they never go into. At least that was my reading.
I think I say it a lot for some of these movies. This would have benefited for another draft.
Yes. Yep.
And just tighten it up, make the connections a little bit stronger so that it doesn't feel as jarring. There were, as you mentioned, wonderful moments in the film.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I think the director they were on to something, they were figuring it out. I don't know if I've ever seen anything that director did after that may have been stronger and more cohesive. I don't know. But overall,
Yeah.
I do not think this film should have been nominated at all.
Yeah, Ugly Americans on Tour.
Yeah.
So I didn't mind it being nominated. This is one of my three. But
Okay.
I thought it was okay that it was nominated.
Okay.
But I agree with you that it wasn't it was a good idea, it was decently strung together, but it fell apart in the execution.
Yeah, that's my main criticism is exactly that. A good idea, it had its moments, it was a good attempt,
Yeah.
but the execution of the idea of what they were trying to put together did not work.
Yeah, exactly. Agree.
Okay, I'm glad that's over. Let's move on to The Departed.
Let's do that.
Alright, The Departed, directed by Martin Scorsese, written by William Moynihan. It's both an English language remake of the 2002 Hong Kong film Internal Affairs, also loosely based on the real-life Boston Winter Hill Gang. Stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt Damon, Jack Nicholson, Mark Wahlberg, Martin Sheen, Ray Winstone, Vera Farmiga, Alec Baldwin, a lot of other people, but those are the big ones for this, what we focus on. Nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Performance by an Actor. So they changed the title of this. It's not Best Supporting. It's Best Performance by an Actor in a Supporting Role.
Oh, when did that happen? Is that this year?
I think it was the year before.
Oh, funny. All right.
And Mark Wahlberg, Best Adapted Screenplay and Best Film Editing. It won for Screenplay, Film Editing. Scorsese won for Director, and it did win for Best Picture. Go.
All right. It is an undercover cop and a mole in the police attempt to identify each other while infiltrating an Irish gang in South Boston.
Technically accurate.
Sure. Okay.
There's a lot more.
There's a lot more. So some fun facts is, we talked about Brad Pitt was almost the Matt Damon role.
Mm-hmm.
Mel Gibson was almost the Mark Wahlberg role.
No!
That would have been terrible.
That would have been terrible.
And Al Pacino, so Scorsese wanted Al Pacino for Jack Nicholson's role.
Oh no, that would not work.
Also would have been terrible, but when they did get Jack, they rewrote the part to make it bigger and to be a more direct line to Whitey Bulger, which makes sense. And if anyone doesn't know who Whitey Bulger is, I can't help you. Go read all about it.
Yeah.
The other piece that I think was very funny is Vera Farmiga, I think her name is, met with an LAPD police psychologist to prepare for the role, showed them the script, and apparently the psychologist said, yeah, this character does nothing right. I can't help you. Like, this is just awful. So, internet research, so we'll see if that's true or not. But I think that goes on with the Scorsese cannot write a three-dimensional woman,
Sure.
and this movie just has another part to it. But I thought she did well with what she had.
Yeah, I thought she was great.
Yeah.
Well, I have very specific things to talk about some of the things that were written for her, but
Ooh,
I
interesting.
have a fun fact for you.
Bring it.
The exchange of the microchips for the guns with the Asian folks, the Asian folks are the original cast from the original movie.
That's fantastic. I didn't know that.
Scorsese, when he signed on, did not know that this was a remake of the film.
That. Mm-hmm.
So when he did, then I think it was him I think it was him that reached out and was like, can we get them to be part of the movie?
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, I thought
I
that was
love
pretty
that. Okay, I didn't know that.
All right, I'm going to dive in. I love this movie. I think this is, for me, it's a toss-up between this and Goodfellas as far as what Scorsese's best film is, and that the answer to that is honestly mood-dependent. So I love this film. I don't think there are some weaker performances, but I do not think there is a bad performance in this entire thing. Everybody is perfectly cast. I love seeing Matt in this role because it was something that we're not accustomed to seeing him. He's not a good guy. I think at certain moments DiCaprio struggles a little bit, like he's like capital A acting at certain moments.
Oh, see, I thought this is one of his best performances.
I agree, but there are moments where I think he's a little over the top. This one is, I think, an example, except for the female areas, of how to tell a well-crafted story. You get just enough each time to move a scene forward, and information only. Multiple things are happening in the scenes. I talk about this, I hammer on about this all the time. The writing of this is a good example of what to do for scene work to help everything move forward. I cannot talk about that aspect enough. And then when you have quality material like that and a top director on top of that, it just makes for a beautiful experience.
Yep. No, I absolutely adore this movie. I think it's a great movie. I think it's great performances. The only and I agree, I don't think anybody was bad. The only weak performances I would say, and it's my pet peeve, is a couple of weak accents. It was Alec Baldwin was the standout for just a terrible Boston accent. I have never seen. I hate Mark Wahlberg. I think he's a terrible person. I've never seen him better. I loved him in this movie. He is fantastic and perfect in this role. So I think he was electric on the screen, and he just cracked me up the whole time. The other thing I want to talk about is the score and the music behind the scenes and the drop kick effing Murphys.
Yeah.
I just the needle drop of that was fantastic.
We've talked about this a couple times with Scorsese films. He does pick the right songs for the right moments. Sometimes those songs are in contrast to what is happening. Like in Goodfellas, which I harped on, the scene where they're beating the crap out of the guy, and it's this beautiful 60s kind of song that's going on with all of this violence. Like, he knows how to craft the music and utilize music to such a degree to either emphasize or be a contrast to the point of whatever that scene is. He's a master at it.
I think all in all, it's a very complicated movie. There's a lot of missing pieces, and then you get a little piece, as you were saying. But also, no one is who they seem.
No.
Not even to themselves. Like, people are even hiding from themselves pieces of their identity, and it is incredibly well constructed that it's easy to follow along, but it benefits from 2 or 3 watches.
Like a lot of Scorsese films, this one, if you really wanted to get down to nitty-gritty details, you can actually poke a lot of holes in this. But with Scorsese films overall, it's the journey that you're going on, not this is not a Memento or a Sixth Sense where you watch it again to see, does everything hold up? You watch this again because of the performances and the journey of what you're doing. Like, you can actually pull some of this apart. But in doing it, a lot of people were like, well, well, if you look at this and then work with this doesn't add up and it doesn't quite work. And I was like, yeah, but it doesn't really ultimately matter.
If you're doing that, you're watching it too close and
Yes.
not for the enjoyment of the film.
So someone, and this is not my quote, I pulled this from someone, but I loved it. Obsession with plot is like judging a human for their skeleton. Yeah, you get the basic shape, but you missed much of the experience.
Oh, I love that.
I thought that
That's
was
very
really
cool.
well
Yeah.
done. So
Yeah.
I did somebody, like juxtaposed 694 or something like that. So I have no idea who it was, but kudos if you happen to be watching this and that was your quote. Kudos, you did a good job.
Can I talk about my favorite scene in the movie, which
Absolutely.
is actually one of my favorite scenes in film,
Okay.
which is Matt Damon and Vera meeting in the elevator.
Mm.
That is the best pickup scene in all of film, I think. So it is so natural,
Yeah.
and he is so charming, and like they bounce off of each other. And he's like, oh, I don't need your card. I'm a detective. It's like, yeah, I fucking need your card. And it seems so natural. They are not acting in that movie or in that moment and in that scene, and it was odd that. It's a gangster movie. It's a Irish mafia movie, and it's a violent movie, and yet there's this one little bit of romance and humanity that was adorable and so well done. I love it. It's super charming.
The first time I watched this, I was like, why is she falling for him? He's abrasive. He swears all the time. Like, he is over the top. I mean, yeah, he's charming, but he's like, he curses all the time. No one's going to fall for that. And then I remembered what her job was.
Oh, yeah.
She's around this all the time, so
Absolutely.
this would not affect her, so she was easily sees through that. And once I bought that part of it, then I could relax into their relationship and see, yes, he is super charming, and she buys into it from the get-go.
That elevator scene, I challenge that you would find a woman who is into men who wouldn't be into Matt Damon in that scene.
Which then brings up a
Or
question.
a man who's into men that would
Sure.
be into him.
Which then brings up the question, first off, it is a little inconceivable that Leo knows where her apartment is and just shows up.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Second, then if she is so into Matt, which she is, and I get she might be having slight second doubts, but they seem so minimalized, why would she then sleep with Leo in this particular moment? That seems unnecessary for her character and for the story.
That's why I hated this character. I hated the whole storyline they had for her. She made no interior sense. It just did not make sense. Yeah, I mean, yes, they basically, Matt Damon couldn't perform in that. So she's going to go off and sleep with Leo. They seem to have an otherwise pretty good relationship, and again, it seemed like it might have been a one-off thing. So what was the deal?
Yeah. What was the point? What did it actually do? The only thing I can think of as they were writing it, they were like, oh, this will be another layer that we can have the two of them exploring each other through this woman. And if that was the case, one, dude, really?
Gross.
Yeah. And two, you didn't pull it off.
No.
So I don't know. It's the glaring, obvious weak spot in this movie for me is her character and what she actually accomplishes. When she has scenes with just Matt, they're fine.
Great. Yeah.
When she has scenes with just Leo, they're fine. They're not great, but they're fine.
See, I don't like any of those, but partially because, so even before they sleep together, when they're actually she is supposed to be counseling him, he is a drug seeker, and he so easily manipulates her into giving him a prescription that I'm like, you were just terrible at your job. It was so easy.
It also begs the question, nobody knows who his character is.
Mm-hmm.
She does, because he's going to her apparently mandated counseling because he doesn't want to be there. Who's forcing him to go to this counseling? Why is he actually in that room? It's never clearly explained that I can remember why he's there.
There was a throwaway line about him being thrown out of the police, and it's part of his parole. So she just
the
got
cover
him.
story?
Yes.
Okay, well if that's the case, then the whole nobody knows who you are that's kind of blown.
Well, no, I don't think she knows who he is. She knows that he is, because he was in part of his cover story. He was thrown out of the police.
Yeah.
And he went to jail.
Yep.
And so I think that's the character that she is somehow counseling, but it makes no sense.
Right.
Yeah. No, it makes no sense.
Okay. I needed to get that out of the way. Outside of that, this movie's as he usually does, it's a great study in tension and release, build, release, but not fully. Like the tension never fully goes away in his movies. Also, this one is one of the reinforcements. He kind of has, not in all of his films, but in a lot of his films, he has kind of an underworking theme of what does it mean to be good, what does it mean to be bad, can you get away with bad choices? Those are things he explores a lot in his movies. This one is absolutely an example of that because, you know, Matt's character, not a good guy.
No.
Is he going to get away with it? You think he's going to up until the last couple seconds of the film, and then, nope, it's not going to happen.
Well, two things on that. So you've got Matt and Leo being the mirror image of each other, of good guy pretending to be bad guy pretending to be good. So interesting. And also, that reminds me of, I've watched this several times since I watched it originally. The first time I watched it, spoiler alert, I was shocked when they killed Martin Sheen.
Yeah.
And I was absolutely shocked when they killed Leo. So those were the two that surprised me. By the time they got to Matt Damon, I was like, all right, it's not looking good for you, dude. But I remember, like, I did not think those were going to happen. Did you? Anthony Anderson, too, also shocked me.
I knew something was going to happen. I knew somebody was going to die the first time I saw it. I had a suspicion it would be more than one. Because, one, it's a Scorsese film.
Yeah.
This has been set up all the way through to have you start to question who's going to make it to the end. It's like watching Game of Thrones. Yeah. Is my character going to die? So I suspected. I did not know, and the moments when they happen were absolutely surprising because they are quick. They come out of nowhere.
Yeah, they just get headshots.
Yeah.
And also just like all of the people, like, okay, so you're turning on that person, and you're an informant for them, and Jack Nicholson's an informant for them, but he's got these people in the police. It was wild. You needed a score sheet to try to keep everybody straight. But yeah, I think that this is probably my favorite Leo performance and one of my favorite Damon performances.
I would agree. Martian is definitely up there for me.
Oh yeah, he was great in that.
I'm going to end with a story that you may or may not know. Matt Damon tells this story of watching Jack Nicholson act and acting him. You talking about how she fell?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is...
Well, tell the audience. I love that story, though.
Matt Damon tells the story of Jack Nicholson. Early on in the film, Jack is killing a couple from Providence, we assume, or for something, we don't know. But anyway, he shoots the man, and then he shoots a woman, and she falls. And he says the line that was written is like, she fell funny. And that was it. That was the scene. So he did that, but then Jack, being Jack, took it one step further and said another line. And then the way Matt tells it, as he was talking to Jack is like, and I could have ended there. But then, and so he says another line, and then another line, and then another line, taking it further and further and further, making it more extreme and more extreme throughout the entire scene, which gave then Martin Scorsese a ton of options to work with in that particular scene. How far do I want to take this? Where do I want to stop it? And he actually did what was written and then used, I think, 2 of the lines that Jack actually added on to give that scene more gravitas. And Matt was like, and that's Jack Nicholson. That's why he's amazing.
Yep, I loved him.
All right, so Departed. Fantastic film.
I agree.
Letters from Iwo Jima. Directed and co-produced by Clint Eastwood, starring Ken Watanabe and...
Watanabe.
Watanabe,
I just
sorry.
love him.
Nope. I do too, I just can't pronounce his name. And Kazunari Niyomiya, I'm going with that, and a bunch of other people, and I'm not going to say your names because unfortunately I'm just going to butcher them and I'm going to feel really, really bad. Nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Original Screenplay, Best Sound Editing. It did win for Sound Editing. Go with some stuff.
Alright, so the summary is, the story of the Battle of Iwo Jima between the United States and Imperial Japan during World War II is told from the perspective of the Japanese who fought it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And I mean, fun fact, but I think most people do know this, that this was a companion piece to the movie Flag of Our Fathers, which came out the same year, and it was the American perspective of the Battle of Iwo Jima, focusing on the flag raisers, the infamous flag raisers from the infamous picture. The other thing about this movie is it was first of all, this movie was much more successful in America and globally than Flag of Our Fathers.
Really?
It did much better. And it did particularly well in Japan because it presented the culture in an accurate and respectful manner. And Clint Eastwood hired Japanese actors, not just random Asian actors, which, is the want of, a lot of people in Hollywood is like, oh, I will hire random Asian actors. And no, it's like, this is a Japanese story. We need Japanese actors to tell it.
And that is totally Clint from everything we know about him. He is very respectful when he does certain things. He does try to get as authentic as possible. He does not want to offend, but it's not even really necessarily coming from a place of wanting to offend. He's just like, no, I just need to get this right.
Exactly.
Okay, if you don't mind, I'm going to let you kind of lead this one because.
Okay, all right, I would be happy to. So overall, I think that it was interesting first of all, it's all subtitles pretty much. So the nice part and the hard part of this movie is you really have to pay very close attention and you have to, kind of watch the movie. It did not capture as much of visual interest as I wanted it to, and it was paced very differently for a war movie. It was a lot of quiet moments and then a couple of battle scenes and, a lot of quiet moments, a couple of battle scenes. I don't mind the quiet moments, but it just did not seem propulsive. It didn't move itself forward. So that was the thing I didn't love about it. I thought that the performances were fantastic. I thought the way it was shot, it was a very, almost black and white. It was so muted.
Yeah.
And yet, the red that came through was the Japanese flag always showed up very, very, very bright. And so did some of the fire. But even the blood was kind of more on the darkish hue than it was bright red, which sometimes you see in movies. But it was just very interesting, the color palette that he chose. So it was an interesting movie to look at. I thought it was very interesting to show kind of like the culture and the way that the Japanese were looking at the Americans, and it gave Americans a way to look at the Japanese, but it didn't grab me. I wanted it to grab me, and it just did not capture me the way I wanted it to.
I 100% agree with everything you said, which is why I wanted you to start, because I didn't exactly know how to fully articulate that, and you did a beautiful job.
Thank you very much.
You're correct. The color palette is a slightly different choice than we're used to for war movies.
Yeah.
This is also a different kind of war movie than we're used to because it is so quiet. There are tons of quiet moments in war movies. They are usually done as something juxtaposed to either a moment that's about to happen or a moment that did happen.
Yeah.
These moments that are quiet are not juxtaposed with anything.
Exactly.
They're just quiet.
Exactly.
All of the acting was superb. The writing, as far as I could tell, was totally fine.
Yeah.
I don't think it was stellar. I don't think it was bad. It was above average.
Agree.
Everything about this film was above average. I just don't think any of it was really stellar. My biggest problem that I had was at the end. It's called Letters from Iwo Jima.
Yes.
And we finally get what the letters are. We see it right in the beginning.
Yep.
We're doing the dig.
That's right.
And then we go on this.
The book ending.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And then we see them at the end digging up the letters, and the letters all fall out. So this was apparently the letters that all of these soldiers that we
were writing home.
Correct. We never see anybody write a letter. So we never.
We did in a couple of situations, but.
Well, the admiral general.
Yeah.
Was constantly writing things, but I was assuming those. I mean, you get some moments where you hear somebody as they're like dictating a letter, as they're reading a letter, but you never actually see anybody writing them.
Good point.
So I question kind of that choice as the book ending of it, and I get it's the title, so you had to do something, but you can change a title.
Yep.
And I also like the nuances, and I get that it's a different culture, so it's not something I'm necessarily used to, but the nuances of it, like the expectation of if you're going to hold this until you die knowing you're going to die.
Yes.
And then
they were there to die for their country.
Correct.
And I think the Americans were there to, that they were willing to die for their country, but they weren't there to die for their country. That wasn't the expectation, perfect word.
The internal strife where because he had spent time in America, that people were questioning his choices, thinking he was a spy or a sympathizer.
Yep.
Well, I get that was a subplot that was there. Obviously, I don't know if that's real or not. I hope that's not something they just invented for the movie.
I think many of these were real people.
I would hope
certainly
so.
the higher level folks, anyway.
And it would make sense. I don't think Clint, knowing what we know of him, would actually do something that drastic. He may
Yes.
invent some small things here and there, but something that drastic, I don't think so. But because of these things, it did make it a little bit more difficult for me to follow and latch on. Like, when you have a soldier coming up and saying, oh, we have to go do this thing, well, you can't because he said this, but no, the big guy told us to do this, which happens a lot.
Oh, sure, yeah.
It I don't know, to me it just got almost repetitive. Like, I get what you're doing, but does it have to be almost every other scene? Like,
it was so confusing. And,
Yes.
I guess that's probably what they wanted, is for us to see how confusing it was for the poor soldiers on the line
Yep.
of trying to figure out what they were supposed to do, when honestly the ultimate situation is they were going to be ultimately sacrificed. But was it going to be here, or the caves, or on the beach, or up in the mountains?
Right.
And the one thing that I did like as far as kind of a culture piece is you could see that they had in their mind demonized the United States.
yes.
And then they see this soldier from Oklahoma, and they're starting to question, it's like, oh, they're just like us. And I think we've seen lots of war movies where
Yeah.
Americans demonize the other side, whoever that other side may be, and then they see, oh, wait a minute, they are just like
Yeah,
us.
the average soldier is just like
Exactly,
we are.
exactly. They're just following orders and doing what they think they need to do to protect their family at home.
And again, I'm not knowing enough about Japanese culture, particularly at that time, because I know it has evolved like all cultures do. It was hard for me to kind of latch on to some of these things and go through it. But conversely, I never had a problem with Tora Tora Tora, which I thought did a really good job and I knew was rather accurate as well. There was just something about this one, and maybe it's because we spent so much time solely with Japanese culture and that it was hard for me to dig. But then again, I love Rant, so I don't know. I don't know what I'm questioning whether it's a me thing or if it's a film thing. And
Oh yeah, am I a xenophobic racist or?
Well, not
or-
xenophobic,
no,
just
I'm
like
kidding. But
lack
like,
of understanding
like,
and being able to
did
get
this
it.
not connect to me
Correct.
because it did not connect to me.
Correct.
But or is it something with the film? And I do think, like I said, I think for me it really was the propulsion of the film. It just did not move forward at a pace that kept my interest.
Yeah, and I think that's 100% accurate. The pacing of it, the time you spent with things, didn't really work for me, and I don't think the subject matter would have mattered if it was still that kind of pacing, telling
Agreed.
the same story.
Agree. I felt a lot like this, and I know that you love The Thin Red Line, but that's the same feeling I got, is I'm looking at it and it's a beautiful piece of art, and I see what he wanted, but it just didn't connect with me emotionally.
I gotcha.
Alrighty.
I don't really have a lot else to say about that. It was difficult for me to connect with this and go through, and I was questioning that. That's why I wanted you to start. You've helped me feel better, so thank you. So I can blame you for everything.
Well, either that or we're in the same boat, my friend. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Little Miss Sunshine, directed by Jonathan Dayton and Valerie Ferris in their directorial debut. From a screenplay by Michael Arndt, the film stars an ensemble cast consisting of Greg Kinnear, Steve Carell, Toni Collette, Paul Dano, Abigail Breslin, and Alan Arkin. Nominated for Best Picture, Best Performance by an Actor in a Supporting Role, Best Performance by an Actress in a Supporting Role. Why they had to make it so long, I don't know. I think this may have been the time that they started taking away also. And the Best Actor is...
Yes, and the winner is.
Correct.
And now it's, yeah.
And then Best Original Screenplay. It did win Alan Arkin for him, and it also won for Screenplay.
And he was wonderful.
He was.
Alright, so the summary. A family determined to get their young daughter into the finals of a beauty pageant take a cross-country trip in their VW bus. Sure. Alright. So originally, they did not want Steve Carell because nobody knew who he was,
Right.
because it was before The Office and before 40-Year-Old Virgin. So
Before it was released, because wasn't that
he was cast before he was in either of those, but it took 5 years from it to go from casting to release.
Wow.
And most of that time they were filming, here and there, but because of the money, they couldn't get all the money. It was an independent film. So who they really wanted a name because they thought that would bring more money to the filming. So they really wanted Bill Murray or Robin Williams in the role.
No.
And then they got Steve Carell, and between the casting and the release, 40-Year-Old Virgin and The Office came out.
So he became the star.
So they were all thrilled, yeah. And then the other fun fact, which I just thought was cute, was in the van, they actually had Abigail Breslin had music playing through her earphones because Alan Arkin's part was so profane and they didn't want her to be listening to it. So anytime they were doing it, they actually made her so that she couldn't hear him, which I thought was adorable.
All right. This is a damn fine movie. I love this movie. It is one of those, like, there are many sweet and touching movies out there. The plot of this is nothing you haven't seen before. It's like we have to get somewhere to do a thing. Been done 1,000 times. But it's how you handle that actually makes a good film or a fun film or a Oscar-worthy film. The way this was all handled had just the right amount of sentimentality, just the right amount of trauma, touching on trauma, just the right amount of sadness, just the right amount of honesty. Like, all of these characters are entirely who they are.
Absolutely.
They are unapologetic about it. There's change, there's growth, but they are 100% who they are, and they're not backing down.
I assumed you would like this because it actually reminded me of the Muppet movie. Like, let's get everyone in a van and go to our destination, and we're going to be better people at the other end of it. So we're better Muppets at the other end of it. But I agree with you. This is pretty much the story and the performances, or rather the script and the performances. And the performances were wonderful. I really loved Abigail Breslin through all of it. I thought she was fantastic. I've always loved Toni Collette. Everything she's in, she's wonderful. I forgot about Paul Dano, that this was one of his first movies.
Yeah.
And I loved the time that he wrote Hug Mom. Like, after the Alan Arkin dies, like, Hug Mom. Like, he's very sweet. He's a mess, but he's very, very sweet. They're all a mess.
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing I liked about them is... The other movie this reminded me of a little bit was Seabiscuit.
Yeah.
The part I didn't like about that movie is it was so heavy-handed of we are all broken people and we will come together and do this thing. And they kept saying it. And it's like, this was the same thing. It's like, we are all damaged, broken people, and together we can make a family unit, and we're going to go off and do a thing and be happy together and all dance on stage, rather than have our little girl get laughed at.
Yeah. No, you're right. I think the only one that's not really damaged, or I don't remember, is Mom, Toni Collette. Like, what was her damage?
Well, she's married to him, so I think that's damaging. But her thing when the son called out to her was she's divorced. So.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But also it showed it, and this is one of the very small touches when it had the wedding picture of her and Greg Kinnear. It had a little boy in the wedding picture. Mm-hmm. So Paul Dano is not Greg Kinnear's son.
Oh,
it's a teeny tiny throwaway.
That.
It's a teeny tiny throwaway, but she's a divorced single mom who's trying to make a second relationship work, and she's got so I think with her, it's more everybody in her life is probably weighing on her, and the things that she has to do for everybody in her life. She is a people pleaser and trying to make everything go, and she's smoking on the side and all of those things.
She is the glue for sure. Without her, all of this would 100% fall apart.
And so I think that's her damage, is that she's trying to hold everything together, and it's hard.
Yep. And with that family, I can see that. I mean,
absolutely.
Teenagers are going to be teenagers, sure. Mm-hmm. Your husband creates a program which is basically a black or white kind of thing, and that's not how life works.
Exactly. And my understanding is that's his only source of income. It's like he doesn't have a job.
Yeah.
So again, she's bringing in the money for the family. She's got a brother who's a mess. And
apparently the sister won't take him, or whoever she was talking to. I was assuming it was her sister.
I did too, yeah.
Everybody in this is just very well rounded and crafted. Like, you get a quick sense of the characters from first things first, I love when the credits happen because it's such a juxtaposition when the title of the movie happens. The title happens around Steve Carell's face as he's in the room in the wheelchair right before he's picked up.
I don't think I even noticed that.
Yeah, so he is like super vacant and sad, and then the title, Little Miss Sunshine. I was like, that is perfect.
Oh, that is perfect.
That is perfect.
I love that.
But yeah, everybody is well crafted, and they stay within character for the development of things that happen along the way.
Yes.
Even when there's growth and change, they are still they're still themselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Which, that's hard to do. It's hard to write someone who is going to grow, change, experience things, and still maintain who you know of them.
Exactly. Well, I think, like, Steve Carell, Paul Dano basically is like, you know, please don't hurt yourself tonight.
Yes.
And Steve Carell's like,
I wouldn't do that to you.
I wouldn't do that to you. I'm not promising I'm not going to hurt myself. Like, I'm not going to make that promise. I can't promise tomorrow, but I won't hurt myself tonight. I won't do it on your watch.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was wonderful. And when he found out he was colorblind and he just lost his mind, I thought that was very funny as well. The only part of it I didn't like, and this is a Laura problem, this is not a movie problem, I hate secondhand embarrassment. I cannot watch people being embarrassed. It bothers me. So her doing her dance and her striptease, I'm like, I hate that part of the movie. It's adorable. It's what should happen. I love that the family comes up and dances with her, but I just hate watching it.
I love that scene for one reason. You don't know what her routine is. You never see it.
Nope.
But you know that her sex-obsessed grandfather has been teaching this routine.
Yes.
So once you see it, you're almost kind of expecting it to be a fairly decent dance routine. But then once you see it, the first 10 seconds, you're like, oh, that makes so much sense.
It absolutely does. And also it shows how distracted her parents are of that they're going to this thing and they have literally never seen her do her routine.
No, and I think that to me, I was thinking about that this time because, like, why would you allow this kind of pervert grandpa to take care of your granddaughter so much? Because she's always with her grandfather practicing the routine. And then as I was watching it through, he loves her so much.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And I think they see that same thing, how much that is. So they trust.
I don't have any issue with that. Yeah.
They just trust that he's doing something good.
Yeah.
Forgetting kind of who he is.
Well, but I mean, like, he is obsessed with grown women.
Yes.
Like, it's very different.
There's nothing
no
to do with
questionable
her.
issue. Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, he is very creepy and weird. And when you see the dance routine, you're like, oh,
that makes so much sense.
I see that. Yeah.
There are certain contrivances in the plot that just help move things along. Like they do end up getting there late, and it is only like the person who hates the people he's working for that ends up signing him in. Like, it's not a big deal. I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it.
Yep.
That's a contrivance. Totally works. It's fine.
Yes.
I have no issue with that at all. A lot of those little things that help just kind of move the plot along are convenient. The gas station where he goes in and Steve Carell's had such a happy moment and he's buying nudie mags and he turns around and of course it's the ex-person that is incredibly convenient, but you buy it for the film, and I have an issue with it, but I don't have a big issue with it.
I am guessing also that you can't call a funeral director in California and say, hey, there's a body in the back of our car wrapped in a sheet, and could you just take care of that for us?
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that is true as well.
Some of the little moments, like, honestly, I could have done away with the scene where they get pulled over and the cop is like, oh, I love these dirty magazines as well. That could have gone. I would have been fine with that. I don't mind it. It just seems like a little blip in an otherwise, like, very smooth kind of thing.
Yeah, they just wanted us to think he was going to see the body and do something about it. So, but I agree with you. That scene was not necessary.
Yeah. I just love how everybody. We see this a lot in films, but it's still uncommon enough that when you see it, you recognize and enjoy it. When you have an ensemble cast that is just working at the top of their level with each other, it is a joy to watch whatever that story is. And these are incredible actors. Even Greg Kinnear, who I've never been a huge fan of, does an amazing job for his character.
He is great.
Everybody's at the top of the game, and you can tell they are playing off each other and playing to each other's strengths so well. And that's what an ensemble cast needs to do, to take a film like this, which is small, and make it so big.
I liked his transformation the most of being kind of an asshole and being, you don't quit and we don't, and if you want to win, you can win, and it's just a frame of mind. And then he's like, oh, I need to protect my daughter. This is going to hurt her, and I don't want her hurt. And so I liked that.
I think he has genuine love for the people in his life.
100%. Yeah, he's just very in his own head.
Yeah, his growth, I think, is probably the biggest throughout the entire movie, because he went from a very black and white way of looking at the life to seeing that there is a ton of gray, and you need to kind of embrace that.
Yeah,
I love this film.
It's a good movie.
I have nothing else for that.
Alrighty then.
Lastly, The Queen, directed by Stephen Frears, written by Peter Morgan, who went on to do The Crown.
Yep.
Stars Helen Mirren, Michael Sheen, James Cromwell, Helen McCrory, Alex Jennings, Roger Allam, and Sylvia Sims. Nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actress, Original Screenplay, Costume Design, and Original Score. Helen did win for Best Actress. Go with some stuff.
Alright, the summary. After the death of Princess Diana, Queen Elizabeth II struggles with her reaction to a sequence of events nobody could have predicted.
Accurate, leaves out some stuff, but accurate.
Accurate, exactly. Alright, so fun facts. This is the second movie of the year where they had some filmed in 35mm and some in 16mm.
Okay.
Yep, the 35mm was the Queen and the royal household and the surroundings, and the 16mm was Tony Blair to look more like newsy than it was.
Okay.
So the other piece too, and we'll talk about this a little bit as we go through, incredibly well researched. Like, most people believe this is fairly accurate to what happened internally because it is absolutely what happened externally.
Okay.
And also, interestingly enough, this is the second of 3 times that Michael Sheen will play Tony Blair.
Yeah, I'm
So the next time, not only does he play Tony Blair in the movie A Special Relationship with Blair and Bill Clinton, but Helen McCrory also reprises the role of his wife.
Really?
And plays Mrs.
Okay.
Blair again, which I didn't know, which I thought was very interesting.
All right.
Can I start this one?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, I'm going to start this one because I am going to put on my completely unreliable narrator hat. My sister and I have a very bizarre relationship with, my sister more so with, like, we got up at 4 in the morning and watched Princess Diana get married.
Okay.
We got up at 4 in the morning and watched Princess Diana's funeral.
Got
So
it.
we are very into the royal family, my sister even more so than I am, and I remember living this. I remember from the moment we got the special report that Diana was in an accident to we watched TV for the entire week until her funeral. And this is what happened in real time. This was, people were pissed at the Queen, people were calling for her to resign, get rid of the monarchy, and all of that. They were looking at the flags, there was like a flagpole watch. So it was very interesting for me, and it's always interesting for me to watch this movie and see what I just remember living.
Sure.
So, so as a movie,
I didn't know if that's all you wanted to say.
No, just kind of like, but again, as a movie, Helen Mirren did a great performance and was amazing as the Queen, and I'm glad that she got Best Actress. But this is one of those, I don't know why the movie itself was nominated, because it was a very small movie with a great performance that should have won.
Yep. This is not the movie that I remembered when I was
Oh, really?
rewatching it. No, I remembered this movie being a lot darker than this movie actually is. There are moments, and quite a few, I think, in this movie. I thought this was more of a study and just a darker drama. This is very lighthearted.
Oh, they skipped over anything that could be dark. They didn't show the children at all.
Right.
They didn't want to show them being shown, being told about the death. They didn't focus on the death at all.
Yep.
It was the reaction to death and how that played out in the news. And the two characters of Blair and the Queen and how they interacted.
Going through some Reddit threads, a lot of people view this film as kind of like a love letter to the monarchy and the Queen, which I can see that point of view, because it does take you through, like, even Tony Blair's character goes from being like, I'm changing everything, and then he basically fanboys out for most of the movie.
Yeah.
He offers advice. He's trying to help her navigate into the modern world, which she's struggling with, which is a big part of the movie overall. So I do kind of see that as a point that it is almost a love letter justification for why the monarchy does and is in place. That said, it is a lot more lighthearted than I remember. Like, the Queen is off having a grand old time, like driving her Jeep all through their woods. And it's very apparent that she is the one that runs the household, not only the country. And this has been true of all the portrayals that I've ever seen. It's never a firm hand, it's never a loud hand, it's just the acceptance of I am the queen, and
Yes.
you will do what I tell you. I will listen to you, but ultimately I'm going to tell you what to do, because that's my job.
Well, and somebody said it in the movie, is she has been told since she was born that it is God's will,
Yep.
and she
And she believes it.
And she believes it, and that's what she was told. So, yeah, I completely agree. And also, just, Diana was no longer part of the royal family. So,
Right.
therefore, she did not understand the emotional. Yeah, and somebody else said later on, was like, this woman kind of did throw things back in her face and kind of was against everything she held dear. So, the fact that there was such an emotional uproar when she passed away, she just didn't understand it.
One of the things I think the film does explore well is her lack of understanding how Diana was able to embrace her fame and utilize her
Yes.
fame.
Yeah.
For the queen, all of that should be private. I'm the queen,
Yes.
I have to make public appearances, I will do that, that's my duty. I'm not gonna like it, I don't think I
Yeah.
should be doing a lot of these things. And the embracing of love or hatred of the public was such a foreign concept to her.
Right.
That she struggled with that with Diana in particular for so long, because Diana was like, I'm going to embrace this and I'm going to do some really cool things with it for people.
Yes.
Diana never embraced fame, to my knowledge, for fame. She wasn't a Kardashian.
She was not, but she enjoyed it.
I'm not saying she didn't.
She enjoyed it.
But
yeah.
she was able to embrace it and
Yes.
utilize it and turn it around to do good things for a ton of people.
Absolutely.
She utilized her fame in a very positive way.
I totally agree.
The queen just never understood that as a concept.
Because that's so. Like you might have heard the famous royal thing when it comes to the press is never complain and never explain.
Yeah.
And that is the way she lived her life. And so she, again, could not understand what this was all about. This was a private family matter. A former member of the family passed away. Her brother wanted a private funeral, so let them have a private funeral.
Yep. I did always find it odd, both in real life as well as in the movie as well, that everybody was mad at the queen.
Mm-hmm.
No one was really mad at Charles.
Because, to your point, Charles could not control what happened for the family. What he did was he took the royal jet, went to Paris, picked up the body, brought her back. So he did as much as he actually could. And I think people knew.
Right, but he's the reason they got divorced. He couldn't give up his old person.
Yes.
And that was known and established even at the time.
Absolutely, yeah.
But
Camilla was in the scene.
That's my point. Everybody was mad at the queen and how
Yeah.
she was treating Diana. Nobody was really mad at Charles.
But, they kind of said that in the film where Charles said, everybody's mad at us. And the queen goes, not us, dear.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
she assumed everything was pointed at Charles. But also, I think that people were used to Charles being a jerk. So they were not used to the queen being less than they thought she should be. So I think that was why they were mad at her. And I think it said it too in the film of, it's like a family spat. It's like you have to be angry at someone. And so she was an easy person to be angry at. Because they didn't know what to do with their feelings.
Right. So overall, I do think that the film does a good exploration of this small period of time. I do. I think it was well written. It was pretty tight, and it did a really good job of exploring this. But ultimately, I agree with you. I don't understand why this was nominated over something like Children of Men, Last King of Scotland, a lot of those other films.
Children of Men especially, that was a miss.
Man.
So I agree with you. We've talked about biopics are better when they are small periods of time, and I think that is true for this movie.
I agree.
I'm glad they had just a small period of time, and just even a week is kind of small for a biopic. I watched this movie, I forgot that it was nominated for Best Picture, so I watched this movie probably about 2 months ago. Because I'm like, oh yeah, hey, that's on, I'm going to watch that. And I enjoyed it thoroughly, and then when we had to watch it for this, I'm like, great, I get to watch it again. I love this movie. I don't know that it has the gravitas to be Oscar worthy.
I've done that a couple times too. Like I watched The Departed 6 months ago.
That's awesome.
Forgetting that it was nominated. I've done that a couple
That
times.
was
Like,
fun.
oh, I'm in the mood to watch this. Oh, this is coming up in 2 weeks for our podcast. Damn.
It's all good.
All
It's all good.
right, I really don't have anything else on the Queen.
Nope, I am good.
Okay, so before I make my suggestion, I'm going to rename the films that were nominated that year, and you tell me if you think any of one of these should have been nominated.
You're going to rename?
I'm gonna, sorry, re-say.
Oh, relist. Okay. I thought you were going to give them a new name. I'm like, okay.
The Prestige. Do you think that should have been nominated?
Remind me of what The Prestige is.
Christopher Nolan. It's the one with Hugh Jackman.
I've never seen it.
I have it. I'll give it to you.
All right, I'll take it.
Oh my god! Because I will answer this one. That film deserved to be nominated.
I have not seen it.
The Pursuit of Happiness. I don't know.
No, I didn't like that.
Children of Men.
Yes.
I think that should have been.
Absolutely.
Running with Scissors was a fine indie. I don't think so. I'm assuming you agree.
I agree.
Apocalypto.
Never seen it.
Probably, in my estimation.
That's Mel Gibson, right?
Yeah, but
that was during my hating Mel Gibson phase. Which continues.
Set that aside.
Yeah.
It is. I think Mayan, Aztec. I can't remember. Inca. One of them. Set during an invasion of their people. It's all told in the actual language they spoke with subtitles, and you forget all of that.
All right.
It's amazing.
I'll check it out.
I think that should have been nominated. Idiocracy Once, no. Last King of Scotland, I think we both think
Probably. Yeah.
Pirates of the Caribbean, no. Superman, no. Cars, no. X-Men, Last Stand, no.
No.
I just spoke a lot for you there. So I
That's all right. As I was following along, though, I would have told you if I disagreed.
So. Okay, so based on that, I'm going to say that even though you really like Little Miss Sunshine, you do agree that The Departed should have won.
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
And I'm going to say the same for you.
Absolutely. Everybody kind of went in thinking it was going to be Marty's year.
Yeah.
And this was one of the few times where that expectation, I think, was an accurate and correct one.
It was. I think Babel was the one that was close second at the time in the moment.
Yeah, see, I would not have been.
But I think that was a very in the moment timeliness because of the structure of the movie. But yeah, it was the Departed. Although Letters from Iwo Jima was also very, very popular at the time too. I don't either.
Even if I were to throw in like The Prestige, Children of Men, I would still give it to The Departed. I just think those films were strong enough to push out the other films.
Children of Men, I have not watched in a long time. I would have to rewatch it, but I love that movie.
Yeah, it's so well done.
I really do.
Has one of the longer tracking shots also.
Yes.
The car chase, the car scene.
Yep, I think that's a great movie.
Alright, I have nothing else.
Me either.
Thanks.
Bye.